Hi viewers. Today I have Miss Hema Menon with me. She is one of the most successful women in technology, and she is hailing from Thrissur, Kerala. And she was the previous center head of UST Trivandrum, and she is now the client partner or director at UST California. Hi, Hema.
Hi, Elna. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Yes, it is a pleasure to have you here.
Sure. Thank you.
Can you please introduce a bit about you to the
Yeah,
viewers?
absolutely. My name is Hema Menon. Like Elna said, I'm currently working as a client partner with UST Global. I've been with UST for over 10 years now. Been in India and now back to US. I was the center head at Trivandrum, and then back in 2017, I moved back to US, and currently working for a customer at LA.
Oh, while I was looking at your profile, the one thing that got me interested that was your BTech degree. That you took a BTech degree in civil engineering, right? So
That's
how
right.
does this transmission happened from this BTech degree in civil engineering to IT field?
Absolutely. So you're right. I started with my bachelor's was in civil engineering. I graduated from Government Engineering College, Thrissur. And I worked as a civil engineer for a couple of years. And after my marriage, there is a interesting thing in between. Before I became a software engineer, I was working in a bank. I used to work for Federal Bank. And after marriage, and then when I moved back to US, when my husband moved to US, I joined him. And at the time, I left Federal Bank and was here in Dallas at the time, Texas. So when I came to US, I had a bachelor's degree and in civil engineering, and what I've learned with civil engineering was completely different. When I look at construction here, the construction of houses here in US, it was different because the way they construct houses here is not the way we do it in back in India. And at the same time, I found it a little bit difficult to look for opportunities in civil engineering field. And I did have this aspiration to be to work for an IT company, primarily because my husband used to work for Wipro, and I used to hear all the stories about technology from him and the things that they do. And I had this aspiration to become an IT professional. And with that, I actually did my master's in software engineering here at University of Texas at Dallas. And just after I graduated, I walked in for a walk-in interview at a company right across from the university, and I got placed there. So that's how I transitioned from civil engineering to software engineering.
Yeah, that's nice. I have one doubt to ask. So
Mhm.
sometimes some orientation classes take place in our college. So one time one person said it is good to take MBA degree right after the BTech. If one have to improve his career in BTech, BTech degree is not enough. One has to take MBA also. So it is good to take BTech, no, MBA right after the BTech, or is it fine if I take MBA degree after working or so? What is
Yeah.
your opinion about it?
Yeah, my thought is you should actually work for a few years before you go into a management, understand or learn MBA. The primary reason is that once you are in college, once you're doing your bachelor's degree, whether it's engineering, whichever branch it is, you are learning about things, but you're not applied that at workplace. So you definitely has to be at workplace, understand the workplace culture, apply your learning, and then as a next step, go for masters in business administration. That's what I recommend. Personally, I feel that gives you a better perspective when you go to management course classes. you will have something to share based on your experience at workplace. And as a part of the MBA degree, you will be learning about organizational behavior along with other things. So that experience of having worked in a organization, the experience of being at a workplace, it actually helps, and it actually validates what you have learned and what you have experienced. So my recommendation would be always to work for a few years and then
Mm.
go for management degree.
Oh, nice. And then you already said you worked in the civil engineering field and as a probationary officer in bank and also
Mhm.
in the management field. So which
Mhm.
one did you enjoy the most or which one did you like the most?
I don't. I Right now I'm in IT field. I enjoy my work, but at the same time, I cannot say I enjoy one more. For me, that journey from being a civil engineer, working as a civil engineer, moving on to a bank, and I really enjoyed working in that bank. And if I had not come to US, I would have continued there. So that is something that I enjoyed. And once I learned, and when I became part of IT field, I'm enjoying that. So for me, the journey of learning things and going from one to another, that is a validation of your ability. So I wouldn't say, okay, I prefer civil engineering over banking over IT. It's the satisfaction that you get at the time, and also knowing that you can move from one field to another. So that's what gives me happiness. But having said that, I definitely enjoy my current job in the IT field, because technology actually is always evolving. So it gives you an opportunity to learn something new, and you're never stagnant, right? You have to learn something new every day. And my theory is that if you learn things, you're of course it keeps you young. That's what I keep saying. You're never old to learn anything. So it's a journey, and I enjoyed that journey.
Yes. So how is your typical day in UST, California? So, or what do you do as a client partner? What is
Okay,
your
so okay, sure. As a client partner, I do have customers. So before that, UST Global, I don't know how much you know about it. UST, is a company headquartered in California, but we do have presence in almost 25 countries, Trivandrum being our largest delivery center. So we do have, our customers are global 1000 Fortune 500 customers. So as a client partner, I am responsible for uh, business development, client relationship, and taking care of software delivery from on site. So my typical day, of course, I spend most of the time at the client location. So I go to the customer site, meaning customer office, more than my office in Aliso Viejo, California. UST Global office, I am always at my customer site. So I'll be there for most of the time and meet with the customer client partners, and that's pretty much. Is engaging with the team there at on site, and then of course communicating and connecting with the team at offshore. That's typically what I go through, and understanding more about the customer, their business, their industry. That again is key to be successful in this role.
So, what is the difference between the working environment in US and working environment in India or Kerala?
Okay, I actually have been privileged to work in both India and US. So I started my career, okay, at least in IT field, I started my career in Dallas. Used to work for a company called Intervoice, and I spent about 9 years there before I moved back to India to be closer to my father at the time. So I had the opportunity to do both, but my company, the company that I work for, UST Global, is a global company. So I'll tell you my experience. So when I moved from US to India, I had this perception about how it would be to work in an Indian company, because we are so I wouldn't say conservative. We are so much about the do you think about the hierarchy of at an organization? You have the sir culture, sir. So that's what my perception was, but it was completely unfounded because when I joined UST has a global culture. UST's culture is one that welcomes everyone. It gives you the freedom, irrespective of whether you are a fresh graduate who's coming into the organization or an experienced person. You all have the same voice. So the culture is so open. There's a freedom. So I did not find any difference between the working in US and working in UST in Trivandrum because of the culture. So I cannot say the same thing about other organization, but UST is absolutely different with the way we treat our team and the openness and the freedom that we get. So for me, it was same. But then at the same time, what I've experienced in terms of social life or personal life is that when you work in India, your customers are mostly, at least for us, the customers were mostly in US or other parts of the world. So when you work in an on-site offshore model, there is your work doesn't possibly end at 6 o'clock. There might be calls or meetings that you take at night when you're in India, right? You're talking to your customers at or your team in US. So that's the only difference, probably the only difference. But even now in UST, working in the similar role, I do have a same approach because I do work in US hours, and at night when I need to talk to my team at offshore in Trivandrum, I do have that night call. So it is pretty much the same, but I cannot say the same thing about how it is in other companies. But UST is exceptional in the way the culture that we have. So it didn't make any difference for me working in US and UST.
So, did you ever face any challenges while working as a woman? Did you ever face any challenges?
Not really. I think so. My take on it is, yeah, there is societal changes or expectations that we face, but then again, at the end of it, it all boils down to how you approach things. So for me, I'll tell you my experience. When I moved to US, my plan was to go for masters in software engineering. I was preparing for that time. That's when I had my second daughter. So October of 97, my daughter was born, and December of 1997, 3 months later, I started my master's program. So I studied for my master's program with a 3-year-old son and a probably 3-month-old daughter at home. But what actually made that happen for me is that I had a husband. My husband was so supportive of my aspiration to learn, and so because of his support, I was able to take classes at night. So he'll come home, take care of I'll hand over my daughter and son to him, and then I'll go to the classes. And even when I was working in India and in US, I don't think being a woman that has not stopped me from doing anything. The biggest thing is that irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman, the support that you get from your family, support you that get your friends, and that is important. And of course, for us, when you consider women, we of course go through the phase of marriage, the childbirth, and whatnot. But then even during that time, as long as we make sure that we are updated or we are keeping ourselves in line with what's happening in the industry and technology, I think there's nothing that should stop us. But having a supportive family and friend is critical more than anything. So for me, I've been lucky with that, and because of that, I don't think I have faced any challenges as such with for being a woman, be it climbing up on the houses that we build at a construction site back in Thrissur, or in an IT field. It's up to us to look at things on how we want to approach it and go forward. So there shouldn't be anything that's stopping us.
Yes. So, one important thing I noticed about you that you take many MOOC courses, right? Online courses. How it is important in today's current scenario? How it is important rather than classroom coaches? How these online courses help one in today's world?
That's a good question. Actually, I was thinking about when we were in college, right? At the time, we were learning things. Whatever we were learning is primarily at what we learned at school. But today's students have or it's not just student. Everybody today has an opportunity to learn whatever they want, irrespective of what profession or what background that you come from. So for me, I feel that it's important to have that. Continuous learning mentality, because things are changing around you so fast, and unless and until you keep up with it, you are going to be left behind. So the opportunity that we have with Coursera, the courses, irrespective of where you are, right? You can EDX, Udacity, or Coursera, or whichever. You can learn things, and it doesn't necessarily limit your ability to learn in the area that you're working. I can take a course on music or guitar or whatever, uh, or things that are of interest, creative writing. That's probably something that's unrelated with my work, but if you have that passion to learn something which is unrelated, you have that opportunity. So I would encourage everyone to use the MOOC courses that are available, or and with the internet having lots of information and good information, and with this type of courses, utilize that. And at times, don't focus just only on technology or the things that you work. Look at courses. There's interesting courses on Coursera on how to learn, how to improve your public speaking skills, listening skills. So there are so many aspects that are needed for being successful at work beyond the technology or the skill that you know. So these courses gives you an opportunity to learn, and then you should definitely make use of it.
Yes. So I read in a blog that you are an avid marathoner. You like to run. And how do you keep time for this, for running? And you write blogs too. How do you keep time for this? Is it passion?
I recently, I mean, a couple of, I think last year, I think I read a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth, Passion and Perseverance. So for me, I call myself an accidental runner. I just got into running when my daughter actually challenged. I used to keep saying that I want to go for a walk, but I never used to go for a walk. So one day my daughter said, she was actually challenging me. So then I started with walking, and then it slowly turned into running. So with every new thing that you aspire to do, you have only 24 hours a day, right? That's not going to change. You can work, you can do exercise, you can do whatever you need to do. You need to fit in that 24 hours of time. So how do you manage time? I think I would say I became more disciplined with the time that I have. So, considering that the time that you have is just limited to that 24 hours, how do you make the best of that 24 hours? For me, it started by waking up early, because if I want to go for a run, and usually, at least when I was in Trivandrum, I used to run at least 6 miles, about 10 kilometers, which would take an hour for me. So if I want to find that time, 8 hours of, sorry, 1 hour of time, I have to make sure that I fit that within that hours that I have. So for me, I started waking up early, and to wake up early, I also need to have that discipline to sleep at the right time, right? You need to have certain hours of sleep, otherwise you will not have that energy that takes you through the day. So it brought in a discipline to make sure that I end things at night at a certain time, and I wake up early. So all of us has that time within that 24 hours. We do have the time, but we just need to bring in that discipline to make the best of the time that we have. So that's what I think running has helped me to. So now early morning, it's not a difficult thing for me to wake up and be part of. So managing the time, I would say you need to look at your at that 24 hours that you have. You need to take away things that are not I mean, relevant as such. If you want to find something, time to do something, you have to see how you can fit it and work towards it.
So, what advice would you like to give to women who think age is a barrier to achieve dreams?
Ah, that is the biggest. I think age is not a barrier for me. Age is just a number. Why? And like I said, right, the more I learn, I feel young. I mean, at least personally, I feel, and that's my motivation to learn things too. And why should we look at age? What does it matter? I mean, we always say women are hesitant to tell their age. Why? As long as that number of years actually comes with the achievements that you or accomplishments that you have, why should age be a number? And I mean, age be a barrier? Age is not a barrier for anything. And I started running a physical activity, that and especially endurance running, which is 26 or 42 kilometers or more. I've done ultra marathons too. So I've done that. I started at an age of 44. uh, no, and for my, if I look at my history, I have absolutely zero physical activity during my school years. And a typical person in Kerala or in India, yeah, we were always focusing on studies. There might less focus, or at least for me it was less focus on, or zero focus on physical activity. So my question to everyone who hesitates to do things just thinking about age, about your own age, I put forward the saying that if I can I start a physical activity, strenuous activity like running and running long distance at the age of 45 or 44. I think I 44. So why not? What is it stopping us from doing anything? And it's not just about physical activity, right? It's about every single thing that you try to do. Even when you're taking up a job that you're not used to, right? For me, I'll take my example. For me, I was working with at Trivandrum in different roles, account management and account delivery center management. And when I came to US, the role is a little bit different, that I do have a sales responsibility too. So if we hesitate and if we think of the age or experience, it won't take us anywhere. You have to have that confidence. You have to have that mentality to learn and try to overcome the what comes. And running actually has helped me. Being able to becoming a runner actually helped me quite a lot in my work and how I think. And one analogy that I shared with my team recently was, sales is like is like a running a marathon. And especially for me, somebody who was doing a different role. So you have, if I take a marathon as an example, you have 26.2 miles that you have to run. And every mile, after a few miles, you think, why did I sign up for this? Why am I going through this? But then that finish line, what awaits you at the finish line is what motivates you to move forward. And there is a whole lot of support that you get from the audience, or from the people that actually cheer you, that actually takes you one step forward. It's the same with every role that you take. There might be obstacles, there might be things that kind of like stop you on the way, but it's your mindset, it's your grit that takes you to the finish line. So there is nothing that should stop you. I mean, an age is just a number.
Number.
It shouldn't in any way restrict your ability to do anything. So
Yes. So,
that's my
as a
take.
winding note, can you give all the fellow girl students a note of inspiration, who or the girls who try to figure things out? Can you give us a note of inspiration?
I see. Like I said, I don't think we need to restrict ourselves. Being a woman is not something that stop you from doing anything. Especially, I think I think things are improving now, and I'm glad that you have this opportunity with Women in Technology, the group that you are part of.
Yes.
There are forums like these which actually encourage young women to women to find their path, find their goal. It's these type of forums are really good. So I'll give you one example. When I was working in the UST as a part of UST forum that we have called NAVU, Network of Women You Associate. It's a group of women. We encourage each other to get to be better, in simple terms. So I had at one point I was a little bit or I was actually finding a way to lead the team, and then I reached out to Padmashri Warrior, who who she was at the time, I think she was with Motorola, then Cisco, and then Neo. On Twitter, I just reached out saying, and then how can we get things? I mean, there was some program that I organized and there wasn't enough participation. I could not motivate women to be part of it. So I just reached out, and then she told me, responded saying that be persistent and showcase role models. So for every girl that has dreams, and every girl who is hesitating to, because of any reason, there are a whole lot of other women who have gone through that path and overcome their challenges. So we need to look for role models who can inspire us. And in most cases, all of them would have gone through the path that are the obstacles or the challenges that we face on a regular basis. So we need to think about what we want, and have that faith in yourself, and go forward. And I especially like the fact that there are a lot of women organizations available, who are actually helping other women. So as a group, we need to help each other. I think that it was Margaret. I mean, I don't remember. I think it's Madeline Albright or somebody. I don't remember who that quote is attributed to, but there is this quote that I think it was Madeline Albright. She said that women who does not help other women, they have a special space in hell, place in hell or something like that. So we need to help each other, and we don't need there is no reason why we should hesitate, or we should step back from any opportunity that is given to us. Take on the opportunity that is presented to you. You will figure out how to get to the finish line. You will find your way, and look for all types of support that you can get, and you'll find your way. That's what I could say.
So thank you, Hema. Thank you for being here today.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be part of it and enjoy your conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.